want the rainbow. Why, oh, why can't I? Once upon a time, there was an unlucky man called Silly Billy. The Golden Goose. There was once a man who had 3 sons called Harry, Sam, and Billy. The first 2 were clever young men, so people called them Handy Harry and Smarty Sam. But Billy wasn't too bright, so they called him Silly Billy. One day, Handy Harry went off to the forest to cut wood. His mother gave him a sweet pancake and a bottle of wine for his lunch. When he got to the forest, he met a little old man with a long grey beard. "Good morning," said Greybeard. "Could you please spare me a little food and drink? I am so hungry and thirsty." "Certainly not," said Handy Harry. "I only have enough for myself. Be off with you." And he went on his way to cut wood. But as he was working, his axe slipped and cut his leg. Handy Harry cursed and leapt about in pain, and then headed for the home, limping all the way. Little did he know that it was no accident. When his brother arrived home without any wood, Smarty Sam went off to the forest. He also took a pancake and wine with him. In the forest, he too met the same little old man who asked him for some food and drink. "If I give you my lunch, I won't have enough for myself," said Smarty Sam. "Be off with you." Shortly, he began to chop wood, but before long his axe slipped too and cut his foot. To be sure, this was no accident either. Smarty Sam had to borrow a donkey to carry him home. With both of his brothers unable to work, it was up to Silly Billy to go and chop wood. But his mother only gave him a stale pancake and sour beer to take with him. In the forest, he too met Greybeard. "Could you spare me something to eat and drink?" asked the little old man. "I'm so very hungry and thirsty." "Certainly," said Silly Billy, "as long as you don't mind stale pancake and sour beer." So they sat down together to eat. But when Silly Billy tasted his pancake, it was fresh and delicious, and the sour beer had become fine wine. When they had finished, Greybeard smiled and said, "As you have such a good heart and were so willing to share your lunch, I shall give you good luck. Cut down that old tree and you'll find something amongst the roots." And with that, the little man disappeared. Silly Billy cut down the tree as Greybeard had told him, and there amongst the roots in the hollow trunk he found a goose But it was no ordinary goose. Its feathers were pure gold. It was getting late. Silly Billy picked up the goose and went to stay at an inn for the night. Now, the innkeeper's 3 daughters spotted the goose and were amazed. How they would love some of its golden feathers! Early the next morning, Silly Billy left the inn with the golden goose. He didn't notice the 3 sisters following him. One of the girls reached out to pluck a feather from the goose, but her hand got stuck to it. The second girl tried to push her sister aside, but got her hand stuck to her sister's dress, and when the third girl tried to tug the second back, her hand got stuck to her sister's apron strings. So the 3 girls had to run behind Silly Billy, willy-nilly. Now, a parson walking by saw the girls and cried, "For shame!" and seized the youngest by the hand and got stuck fast. A soldier saw him and cried, "Parson, leave that girl alone!" He grabbed the parson and couldn't let go. A clerk saw him and cried, "Soldier, don't hurt his reverence!" He caught hold of him and got stuck in his turn. Then a farmer rushed up to pull the clerk free and got stuck as well. So there were 7 of them, trailing behind Silly Billy and his goose. As they reached a town. Now, the mayor of the town was very rich and a pretty daughter called Millie. Sadly, Millie had never learned how to laugh or even smile. Nothing that anyone could do seemed to help. Desperate to see his daughter happy, the mayor announced that whoever could make her laugh could marry her. When Silly Billy saw the proclamation posted by the town gate, he could not resist trying his luck. Clutching his goose, he went to the town hall. Of course, what Silly Billy didn't realize was that the 3 sisters, the parson, the soldier, the clerk, and the farmer went too. As it happened, the mayor and his daughter were on the balcony when they saw the young man cradling a goose with 7 people coveting and tumbling behind him. Millie began to laugh and laugh and laugh. It was as if she would never stop. At the sound of Millie's laughter, Silly Billy stopped and turned to look at her. Immediately, the sticky magic spell was broken. The parson, the soldier, the clerk, the farmer, and the 3 silly sisters all came unstuck and fell about, exhausted. Silly Billy ran upstairs to the balcony, goose and all, and asked Millie to marry him. But the mayor didn't want a Silly Billy for a son-in-law. "You can marry her on one condition," he said. "You must bring me a ship that can sail on land and water." It was impossible, wasn't it? At once, Silly Billy thought of his friend, Greybeard. Quickly, he ran back through the forest until he found the little old man and explained his problem. "Since you were so kind to me," said Greybeard, "I'll be glad to help. Come." Greybeard led Silly Billy down to the river, and there was a magnificent ship with her sails set and smoke puffing out of her funnel. Silly Billy sailed the ship into the town harbour, and there the ship came out of the water and steamed up the jetty on her great iron wheels. "Here's the ship, my Lord Mayor," Silly Billy cried. "Now, may I marry your daughter?" The mayor was amazed at the wonderful craft and realized the young man was not so silly after all. "Yes," he said at last, "you may marry Millie, Billy." Millie giggled, and everyone laughed and cheered. After the wedding, the happy couple sailed away together in the wonderful ship on their honeymoon. And of course, the golden goose went with them too. The end.